Hello. So I forgot to make an intro. Of course I do. But we're gonna be doing a reading vlog, reading Elizabeth Gilbert's Big Magic. It's a book about living a creative life, and I would characterize it as a self-help book, but focusing on creativity. As someone who luckily has a lot of creative outputs, I kind of are falling out of them, or I don't really exercise them enough as I want to. I have trouble balancing work, school, and like social systems, whatever. But I am really curious if I get more motivated or if I just feel more inspired reading this book. I'm not sure. I'm just really curious. And yeah.
So I usually read on my Kindle, like I would download it on my Kindle, or I would listen to audiobooks on Libby. Here she is. I think I'm gonna order a new case. We already downloaded there. At the end of this vlog, we're gonna see one I feel like more creatively motivated to. This inspires me. 3, it's worth to buy the physical copy. The author mentions how fear is inevitable when it comes to being creative, and they actually listed out like a list of fears. There was one I was really reminiscent about, which was you're afraid somebody else already did it better. When I was younger, I really wanted to learn the piano because first of all, it's like a beautiful instrument, and I never been put through the lessons. I've always just been put through other stuff like sports, and I've always loved listening to it. I would love to be able to play. So many endless excuses to start now, but I actually bought myself a keyboard I think last year for my birthday, like for myself. It started off like pretty good. I was really excited learning about it, but then eventually all these other voices and like other fears started coming out. Like, you will never be better, like just kept getting louder and louder because I knew I would never be enough or like good. But it wasn't like my first intention in the first place when I wanted to start learning. I wanted to start learning because I always wanted to, not because I wanted to be the best or wanted to be some prodigy or something like that. Like, there's no way I was gonna live up to that expectation, but somehow it got in my head that it existed. Like, I don't know. But yeah, she also mentions in the chapter, which I really like, she actually has a speech for fear. Well, fear is always in the car, as well as creativity, and even though fear is inevitably going to be there, they're never going to be on the wheel. They're never going to be in control, because she never lets them be in control, which I found really motivating. I don't know. This is really good so far. I didn't expect it to be so good so far. I want to unbox this with you guys because it came so quickly. I just ordered the case yesterday and it came like literally from today. I got it from this brand, but it's just this clear case. There you go. Oh wait, this is actually pretty nice. I feel like I should decorate it. That would make sense. Okay, so I bought this from Target when it was on sale because I really like this pop socket. It's a pop socket, but I hate this. So I was thinking about buying a white pop socket and screwing it onto this maybe. Yeah, this is like a wallet situation. You can actually see it's like the Hogwarts letter. Okay, so I finished part 2, Enchantment. I honestly did not highlight or remember much of this chapter, but I still really enjoyed it. I actually was listening to it on Libby while I was doing my bullet journal, which I feel like is like, out of all like my hobbies or like creative outputs or whatever, I'm the most consistent of, because this is kind of how I plan my life. It kind of get me motivated to open my sketchbook, which I normally it's very rare. I try kind of going like the same theme as like the colors of the book, kind of pastel, and just in general it worked out because usually when I don't feel like creatively motivated to do like more creative spreads, usually I would do blobs of color. I have the same thing, blobs, and kind of started doodling on top of the blobs. So here I started doing like a face. I did strawberries, but they look like carrots, low-key. And I got kind of lazy and I was like, okay, I'm gonna make it big so it just takes up the whole page. So I did jellyfishes, which I don't really like. I feel like I can do them better. Yeah, I think I'm gonna add more, but that's what I did creatively, I guess. But really, in this chapter, she kind of explores how ideas come to us. She describes creativity as a magical force we need to be kind of like receptive of, which I agree. And I don't know if I said this before, but I really like the tone of the book in audiobook and Kindle, just because it feels like she's just telling me stories about, it's mainly just stories about her friends and herself. I really like the tone.
Hello. Sorry to jump scare you, but when I was editing this, I didn't film a lot, like I didn't commentate a lot about the book, but I did record a lot of like B-roll when I was reading this section. I honestly didn't like the footage of my commentary and the B-roll just because I feel like you can kind of tell I was kind of on a slump, and I was debating if I was gonna say anything about it or not because it's not really relevant, and I don't really think it was that relevant to the vlog, but now I kind of want to. Looking back, I was so sad because I had a deadline. I was on week 7 on my week 8-week research program or grant or whatever, and at the end of it I was supposed to submit a ready research manuscript. But literally on the 7th week, the last week, my professor who I was working with, my mentor, told me it's not ready yet and will get rejected and we won't be able to work on it until the next couple of months. All these things like I didn't want to hear, which I was obviously disappointed of, but I asked if there was a possibility if I can get all the feedback and work done on the manuscript ready by the deadline of my 8 weeks, which he mentioned near impossible and kind of overworking myself, but I wanted it to happen so badly and I wanted to meet that deadline. And mind you, I was still taking other summer classes, like courses, and they were the finals that same week, so I was just pressured. I was stressed. And I took a break one day and kept reading this book, and it was perfect timing because there was this section in this section about how writing is like a tennis match, and I saved a lot more stories from the section, I think because they really resonated with me at that time, with that kind of emotion, with that kind of resilience that I needed. This is arguable because I feel like a research manuscript isn't as creative as opposed to a story, just because I haven't been with, it's more logical stuff than stories and characters and stuff. If you read the book, you would know about I would be talking about. If I read it back, I feel like it would be really corny and would not resonate with me anymore, but reading that, I was just like, okay, I just need to keep hitting it as much as I can, because even though I can't keep playing or hitting, this is gonna get so corny, but whatever, you get the memo. Like, I was trying my hardest to get this deadline and I was really sad, and reading this book was helping me because I was coping with fear of rejection, and yeah, and I feel comfortable saying it now because I obviously did not meet the deadline. I'm still working on it, so it doesn't have to be a certain time. A certain time to get a specific goal done. The timing also gets weirder during this week because I actually pulled an all-nighter. It was that bad. I wanted to get this done so badly that I was so anxious during the night that I could not sleep, and I was like just trying to get myself to sleep. I didn't even do anything productive in that all-nighter. I just stayed awake and could not sleep. It was so bad, and I didn't even think I had the stamina to do a all-nighter ever again, but apparently I did. So yeah, and oh my god, it gets even weirder because the day I pulled my all-nighter, California wants to rain, and as you would know, California rarely rains, especially during quote-unquote summertime, even though summer is literally all year round for us. And I'm complaining for the wrong reasons, because rain is my favorite weather or whatever, because we rarely get it in California. I have this theory that I only like rain because we rarely get it in California. Like if I lived in London or like somewhere that rained a lot, I would not enjoy rain as much as I do now. But I did not need it to rain because I love sleeping in when it rains and reading or whatever. But I did not need to do that. I did not need to take any naps because I was running on zero sleep that day, and I had work and I had school, and it was so bad. But yeah, anyways, jumping back, this section of the book was really good. It helped me unintentionally with my own writing in academia, but I think that's it. Yeah.
The only thing is, like, I'm lactose, and this is, I think this is like the cheese foam or whatever. I don't know. It looked good. They did have the Yakult one, but I was scared I wasn't gonna like it because there was too much ice, and I feel like it would just melt away. This is my first time trying at this. Okay, I just finished working out outside, and I literally just postmated boba because I'm so, like, it's hot as balls outside. I never tried this brand, but we'll see. It's supposed to be like slush. I already freaking melted. But this is basically like my dinner and lunch. I got fries that are Cajun fries. Pretty good. Of course, chicken, because why not? I think I'm just gonna save this. Literally, I'm gonna eat half and then eat the rest later for dinner. But I finished part 4, persistence. It's about sticking with your creative work even when it gets tough, which is pretty relatable because I feel like, you know, being consistent is probably the hardest part about being creative. This is the persistence is crucial for success. There was one quote, the shit sandwich. My friend back in the day claimed that he wanted to be a writer with all his heart, but it turns out he didn't want to eat that shit sandwich that comes along with the pursuit. He loved writing, sure, but he didn't love it enough to endure the ignominy of not getting the results he wanted. He didn't want to work so hard at anything unless he was guaranteed some measure of worldly success on his own terms. Which means I think that he only wanted to be a writer with half his heart. And yeah, soon enough he quit, which left me hungrily eyeballing his half-eaten shit sandwich, wanting me to ask, are you gonna finish that? So it's kind of like a metaphor of like everyone has this creative like shit sandwich, but not everyone is gonna finish it, finish the pursuit and stuff like that, which I really, like, I didn't realize how much I needed that chapter. It was so relatable. And I believe she also mentions in the same chapter, one of the worst things an artist can be, or like a creative person, is being lazy and being a perfectionist. And that's literally what I always say. Like, I'm such a stubborn person, but I'm also a perfectionist. Especially like during sketches where, oh, I'm not proud of that sketch, oh, I could have done better, all this stuff. But at the same time, like, we should just be proud that we're doing it in the first place. Like, we're being creative. Like, it's all about the process, and I'm just such a perfectionist and stubborn person that I can't appreciate that. And I'm glad, you know, this book is kind of reminding me, and kind of, I like how she's not really talking down on us either, because it really just feels like we're talking to someone and she's telling us these stories that can be relatable to you or not. And with this one it was. I'm gonna taste the chicken. They didn't give me sauce, unfortunately. Pretty good. Press. So this is not my personal copy. When I was doing my research, I actually have to use like this loan website where, because researchers love pay like walling articles and journals and books, so I would just use this website on my school, and sometimes they have books like these, and I actually loaned it for a month. I feel like if I were to go to a bookstore and if I see this book, I would purchase it. As of right now, since I have the physical copy in a loan version, I wouldn't as of right now, so that's kind of like the verdict. Rate it 3.5 stars. If you round it, it's 4 stars. See, there's some stories that I don't really relate to, and there's some that I do. Finish part 5 and part 6 kind of together, just because part 6 was really quick, and I kind of finished part 5 when I was out of town. Pretty much out of the 3 self-help books I've read ever, this is definitely my favorite, just because this one is more relatable, since it's more into exclusively about creativity and stories that I actually like enjoy. I think I really love reading about stories and like metaphors, rather than just like a book telling me what I should do and why I should do it. There's also a lot of good humor in here. If you haven't read this book and you want to, I would definitely recommend it. This is also Olivia Rodrigo's. I don't know if it's her favorite book, but she did recommend this book. Last time I read a recommendation of hers, it did not end well, so I'm glad this ended well enough that I can say I don't know if I'm going to read more self-help books, because I'm definitely more of a story character person, but I always wanted to read this, and I felt like, as someone who is very much a stubborn but also a perfectionist, this is a really cool tool, and I really do see myself buying a copy, maybe not right now, but maybe in the near future, and highlighting my favorite stories and annotating my favorite stories, because I have gotten like urges, like physical urges, while I was reading on my Kindle or listening on Libby, and I bookmarked so many bookmarks. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this vlog. If you enjoyed it, give a like, subscribe. I don't really know how this works, but on my next reading vlog, I really want to do a series that is very popular, A Court of Thorns, but it's not my first Sarah J Maas. I actually read I forgot the name, Crescent City, the first one. I just picked it up randomly in a Barnes and Nobles and I finished it. I didn't continue the series, but I feel like it would be really interesting to read The Court, pretty much like the most famous, one of the most famous book series. It'll be fun. But yeah, ooh, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm gonna go now.